Hey everyone, so this is Ben from STRYD, and we have two very special guests here today. We have Charles Hicks and Cole Sprout from Stanford. Both of them had a very, very good season. So just first of all, I want to congratulate you guys on the season. What do you think overall? We'll start with you, Charles. What do you think overall, like team-wise for Stanford, individual-wise? What do you think of the season?
Yeah, so I think team-wise, we had a very impressive season, in sort of the regular season, and we had amazing results across the board, and I don't think you can be disappointed with that. Obviously, we didn't come away with the win, which was super tough, but I know a lot of guys, we went out there and fought as best we could, and that's all you can ask for on the day. And so I'm impressed with what we were able to accomplish, but there's still a little bit there to be desired. And on the individual side, it was kind of a little bit flipped where, my results in the early season, were here and there, weren't like bad by any means, but we finished off the season really strong, and got the win individually, which was incredible. And yeah, it was a great one for the Bucks.
Yeah. I guess mine's a little bit flipped from Charles's individually, at least. Early to mid season was going very well. I liked the momentum I could see, and just the trajectory I was having for the rest of the season. And obviously things didn't go my way into the postseason, just with the injury things. So, that was obviously a bummer, having to kind of battle back from that, but it is a part of the sport. So team wise though, it was a great season. We were very consistent throughout the regular and into the postseason, which was, awesome to see. But yeah, like Charles said, there's obviously that room for improvement for the race that matters at the end of the year.
Yeah, definitely. That's the heart of a champion, right? Always room for improvement. Yeah. Room to
I know.
Even when, like for Charles, you're national champion, but you're still looking forward to doing even better and stuff. I did want to ask you though, Cole, personally, I didn't know that you were hurt going into nationals. What did you kind of like do to treat it? Because that happened around like regionals time. First of all, what was the injury specifically? And then also, how did you treat it, and how were you able to get out there and still compete for the teams? And you guys ended up on the podium. So still, I know you had higher goals, but you still were a crucial role to get on the podium there. How did you treat that injury?
Yeah. So I partially tore just one of my hamstring muscles, kind of the week leading up to regionals. And, I took a week or so off, just doing a lot of pretty intensive rehab every day, just trying to get that muscle healing as quickly as possible. And just to get me back running. So I was doing some cross training, which helps just to maintain that fitness and sharpness a little bit. But, it wasn't until that week of nationals where I started running, and I did strides for, the first time a couple of days beforehand. So just a kind of a quick turnaround, trying to get back into feeling efficient and smooth leading into that race. So yeah, it was definitely a new experience for me, but learned a lot of valuable lessons from it.
Yeah, no, injuries you definitely learn a lot from. I know every runner can say that for sure. It kind of is a humbling experience at first, and then also you realize, hey, maybe I need to hold back a little bit, or you learn like all the other stuff, like strength-wise, what you need. And just for both of you, how do you kind of make sure you don't get injured a lot? Because a lot of runners out there, they get hurt quite a bit. A lot of them overtrained. Yeah, well, knock on wood for you, Charles. How do you guys personally make sure that you're able to stay strong throughout the season, not get burnt out? First of all, that a lot of people don't talk about like mental injuries in a sense. Burnout's definitely something that can happen to people before like postseason. How do you guys make sure you stay strong throughout the whole season?
Okay,
go for it, man.
I think, on the mental side of things, the most important thing is just establishing belief, in the support systems you have, on and off campus. It's a lot easier, I think, to get, beat down when you can't really see, what's on the horizon. So just making sure that you have trust in sort of your process and where it's taking you, as opposed to, over focusing on where you are now, is something that's been super helpful for me. And, in the same vein, I think a lot of physical injuries are a lot more related to the mental side of things. And I think a lot of people, account for. And so just keeping that sort of low stress lifestyle, making sure that you don't let school sort of pile up too much. Don't take, everything so seriously, and just kind of roll with the punches and go with the flow, so to speak, has helped me a lot. Just, not over focusing on anything, and making sure, I keep that stress level as low as I possibly can.
Yeah, no, that's a very good point. That's something I try to do as well. And something that I was trying to be more intentional about this season was just being present day to day, optimizing myself every day. Because it can be easy to kind of lose a little bit of perspective and try and focus on things out of your control in the future, or things that, are just happening externally that, you can't really do anything about necessarily, like injury, for instance. So yeah, for me, I just really wanted to make sure I was being present, just doing everything I could that day, knowing day in, day out, like I'd done my best and that was good enough. So yeah, keeping low stress is key.
Yeah, and I just want to go off of that then, because you guys are obviously athletes for Stanford, but Stanford's a very high quality school as well. How are you able to maintain low stress in the classroom, also like outside, just like social stuff? And you also said, Charles, you're like making sure I don't take everything too seriously. I've seen like a few of your YouTube videos, which you have a YouTube channel. And you guys seem like you're having a lot of fun all the time and everything. How do you maintain kind of like that good vibe while also having the stresses of school and running and trying to go and win a national championship?
Yeah, I mean, I think, being on a team like this is what helps so much, whether you see that in the videos or whatever, or out on the course, it's kind of just something that's able to help you take a load off, so to speak, and just enjoy, showing up to practice, stuff like that every day. If I was out there, having to clock in and work by myself, it would be somewhat miserable, but, getting to look forward to that sort of 3:30 every day slot where I get to see my friends and just kind of improve myself, while we're all improving each other, it's something that sort of makes it all worth it. And, I just put my head down, grind through the school stuff, but, I'm always thinking about, when I'm going to be at practice next and enjoying that.
Yeah. Yeah. Time management is big for sure. Just getting stuff done, knowing that you're traveling certain weeks and workouts or certain days. Like for me, I just try to kind of separate the two, do one, make sure I've done everything I can, and then just really focus as much as I can on that running piece. So that's been big for me.
Yeah, well, you mentioned workouts there. I do want to go into workouts a little bit. Now, you don't have to like share any specifics or anything, but just like a general idea. When did you guys know, like, hey, I'm fit for this season? It could be like anywhere. It could be even in the summer. When do you guys kind of know, like maybe you have a benchmark workout where you're like, oh, I'm like way quicker than I was last year and stuff? Where did you have that feeling where like, hey, we can contend for like national championship in November?
Yeah, I think for me, coming back from summer training, we did some pretty good tempos just at the beginning of the year, which was a pretty good confidence booster and just like a benchmark workout that we usually do. So yeah, I think that really gave us a lot of confidence just running these longer tempos much faster than we had even, last spring. So I think that was a huge piece.
Yeah, we were slamming those tempos.
Yeah.
Especially like we'd go out really fast. It's like a 5-mile loop. And so we do it twice for 10 miles, go out super fast, and then get into the second loop and we just go like way faster somehow off of, what already would have been like close to a best ever tempo. So that was really huge. I know for me specifically, there was a time where, I was driving across, going through Colorado to pick up Kai, going by Cole's house. And I was really nervous the whole time because I had I think hill repeats. And the way the drive was working out, I wanted to not do it at altitude, but it just ended up I had to do it, in Cole's hometown, which is pretty high up, especially, for where I trained over the summer in Florida. And, I just got out there and did it and was comfortable with the idea that it would go horribly, but it ended up going super well. And I think that just gave me a ton of confidence. And then it was fun as well to link up with Cole and Kai after that. But yeah, then we were able to carry that energy through the year and make it a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, great. And I know personally, just from being at altitude, hill sessions suck there. So if you can do hill altitude, you're really fit. Yeah, you're really fit if you can do them there. And actually, speaking of hills, Stillwater over here, for people watching, I go to Oklahoma State. So we hosted nationals here this year, and the hills are hard on that course. How did you guys prep? Did you guys do anything different throughout the season to kind of like prep for the like hilly course and everything over here?
Yeah,
different?
we just did a lot of hills.
Yeah.
You know, hills on the course. We just did hills. Like that was pretty much it. No, it wasn't too complicated. I mean, being from Colorado, that was a big focus I had over the summer, was just getting in a lot of hilly runs. And workouts reflected that as well. But yeah, I mean, altitude, especially, that it's a tough one, you know, especially coming back from campus. First couple of weeks are a tough adjustment. But yeah, you know, our workouts definitely reflected more of that need to be efficient up and down hills.
Yeah, I had the opposite problem in Florida, where hills don't really exist, you know, where I'm based. So, you know, I was finding hills wherever I could over summer. But then, yeah, we were just doing a lot more. We do a lot of workouts at this place called Baylands, you know, just off of campus. But instead of sort of doing a lot more, you know, IN field, which is just this grass field on campus work, we would do workouts that we typically do there, I think, on top of this, you know, hilly loop out at Baylands. And so it wasn't, you know, drastically different, but it just kind of, I think, gave us a little bit more confidence that we're focusing on the right things, you know, in the season. And honestly, I just think it's a little bit more fun too, you know, because they're a little bit harder.
Yeah, and yeah, you said you're from Florida, but also for people that don't know, you're also from the UK. I actually have a question with that. Who's your World Cup team?
Oh, England, easily.
I mean,
it's always
are you choosing them because the US lost earlier to Netherlands, or actually from the start?
This morning. Yeah, no, I'm not. I've always been rooting for England. And I'm not one for turning coat, so to speak. So, no, and yeah, unfortunately, I think the US still has a bit of a ways to go. But they had a great year, so it was fun to watch, you know, my friends root for them. But yeah, England all the way.
Good to know. Good to know. Just like in general for next year and like the track season, I'm sure you guys are looking over like some goals and stuff. Maybe took a break after nationals and everything. What are your goals? What are like the achievements you want to accomplish throughout the season? Because track is a long season. We'll talk about like indoor and outdoor. How do you plan on getting there? Because obviously it starts now, and it'll be like, I don't even know, 6 months, 7 months for the whole season to go through. So what are the goals for that season?
Yeah, I mean, just generally like process goals for me. With it being a very long season, I think just being patient is a big one for me. I can lose perspective a little bit and try to chomp at the bit when it's not really necessary and it could be detrimental. So just knowing that it's a long season and preparing as such for some of those later, more important meets is important to me, just to make sure I'm optimizing myself that way.
Yeah, and it's a similar thing where, you know, yeah, I always feel great, you know, at the end of the cross country season. You know, you get to feel sort of the peak, you get to feel, you know, all the base you laid over summer, and then you really got to take a break and reset, and sort of feel that weakness again, I think, at the beginning of indoor season. So I think, you know, being comfortable with that reset, you know, going from, you know, such a high to you know, starting to build all over again is something that can be, you know, difficult mentally. But you know, I've done it before. I've made it through that before, and ended up in some great places at the end of the season. So I'm just going to be focusing on, you know, making sure I stay, you know, aware of where I'm headed, not so much where I'm at, you know, as I said before. And I think, you know, when I do that well, good things happen.
Yeah, and it sounds like you guys are very process oriented, which is a good thing, or at least I think personally, because you guys enjoy the process of it. It's not like you guys are looking for, oh, I just want to win like this championship. Like obviously you want to win, but also you enjoy like the journey along the way, and I think that's a good thing. Personally, like, what do you guys like about running the best? Is it that day-to-day kind of like grind? Is it being with like your teammates, or just like overall? What is for each of you? What's your favorite thing about running?
Go ahead. Yeah.
You know, I really like, you know, sort of how methodical it is, how, you know, empirical it is. It's a very quantitative sport where there's not a lot of subjectivity, and I really appreciate that, because it just feels like all the work you put in, you know, barring injury, you know, all that not so fun stuff is, you know, going to pay off, you know, hopefully 1-to-1, you know, down the road. So it feels like all the time I put in is worth it, which is awesome. It gives me a lot of control over my day. It gives me a lot of consistency, you know, that I can build my life around. And it's just fun. I mean, that's sort of the best part. It's just fun to get out there and run, you know, get that endorphin rush, feel that progression. And yeah, it's something I want to do for a very, very long time.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the community aspect is huge, getting to train with these guys day in, day out, just makes it very enjoyable. Because in high school, I did a lot of stuff on my own. So comparing that with what I'm doing now, obviously the workouts are much more intense, much more volume and everything, but I just enjoy it more because I have these guys to break the ice a little bit, make it more enjoyable. But then like on the other side of that coin, I guess, I do enjoy kind of like the solitude and the reflective periods I can have, or just running by myself. So I do get kind of a break from real life school and everything just by going out for a run, doing a little bit of a reset. So yeah, I mean, but yeah, you just had to enjoy the process day in, day out to really have longevity in the sport, I think.
Yeah, sounds good. And I saw you posted yesterday on your story about NXN and stuff. What would you say to like younger athletes out there? They're racing today, or at least earlier they raced this morning. What would you say like your best advice that you can give them? It could be training or life related, something that you've learned in running. What kind of advice would you give them? We'll start with Cole.
Yeah, I mean, I would just say to enjoy it. Like time flies. It feels like just the other day I was running NXN, to be honest. So yeah, just like appreciate those moments where you're getting catered to by Nike. Just getting to live the life of a professional athlete for a weekend. Like those moments are really special, and there aren't many. So yeah, just appreciate all those moments.
Yeah, I think, for me, if I were to give advice looking back, to myself, someone running NXN to however long ago that was, is that, it's not the end of the story. It's a great achievement. It's amazing that you got there. Go out there, compete, and do as well as you possibly can. But, when I think, I had a really good NXN race my junior year and a not so good one my senior year, just relatively. And, I never would have imagined I'd be able to do the stuff I'm doing now. So take it with a grain of salt, I guess, enjoy this weekend, but don't base your expectations for what you're capable of off of it.
Yeah, sounds good. And just for Charles, this question, overall throughout the season, did you always have that belief that you'd be able to win that national championship? Because I personally think that was an amazing race. With that race, did you think you were going to go out that early? Because that's something that people were like scared to do, especially on this course. Pretty risky thing to go out, but obviously it worked out in the end. Just run me through kind of like the race and like going into the race. Did you think you could actually get that win?
Totally. First of all, I think, you're an idiot if you absolutely think you're ever going to win, an NCAA race, because it's just so competitive. And just these athletes are on another level now. And so, I knew there was a chance, but, I wasn't for a second gonna, rest on my laurels, so to speak, and think it was going to be an easy job. And I think that really helped me, apply myself as much as I possibly could over the season. Especially, in those first couple meets of the season, I wasn't winning as much as maybe I thought I should be. But, I wasn't worried about it. All you can really do is throw yourself at the process. And I was throwing myself at the training. So I never really lost that belief that there was a chance, and, a chance is all I've ever wanted. And so sort of when they made that move early in the race, it just seemed like, I was buying my ticket, so to speak. I didn't really think about it too much, but I knew, if you leave it too late, you're not going to be able to reel them back in without a Goliath effort. And so, I had respect for Nico and Drew as athletes, and I figured there was some kind of strategy there, but it was entirely, their move and their idea. I was just kind of along for the ride. And so, yeah, it's amazing that it worked out the way it did. It was not at all the way I expected to unfold. It was so fast and so crazy, and yeah, what a nuts race. But yeah, I never thought it was a lock. There was the possibility there, and yeah, it ended up in my favor on that day, and yeah, it's an awesome feeling.
So what do you do? Well, for both of you guys, what do you do when maybe the plan isn't playing out like during the race and everything? Like, do you have to just like stay calm and just kind of think on the fly? Because you said there you did not expect them to go out that early. I don't think anyone expected them because that was a really risky move. What was kind of the plan going in for the team for Stanford, and how did that plan kind of like have to shift once you noticed that the race was going to be a lot quicker than you thought?
Yeah. Does it ever play out the way we think it's going
I was
to?
about to say, yeah, I rarely abide by the plan, or even have one. Like, to be honest, coach kind of told us going into this one that, you know, it's very likely that the plan I give you will not play out even remotely close to that. So, and he just said, like, I trust your judgment, go out and run a smart race. And that's all you can do. So it's almost every single time on the fly, just kind of coming up, trying to optimize yourself the best you can.
Yeah, it was really funny for me. The plan went out the window immediately. Obviously, we thought it was going to be a much slower race, but then sort of the end of the race, it kind of kicked back in because what we talked about a lot was sort of that last K, how crucial that last K was to make sure you could reserve for it because it's not easy and it comes right after the hardest portion of the race. So even though the first 9K was just not textbook whatsoever, yeah, that last 1,000 meters ended up being, pretty much exactly what we'd been talking about. And it played out the way that we wanted it to. And so, yeah, yes and no. The plan was not 100%, but it ended up helping a bit, which is usually how it goes. There's like a bit of truth to it, but you can't overinvest in it because, there's just so many. Your plan as an individual runner is 1/200th of all plans going into that race. And so, the odds that yours is gonna work out are very low.
And you referenced the last K there. Did you know you had that kind of speed, like finishing kick that you had in like the last 100, 200 meters there?
I mean, I think it helped that it was a little downhill, made me look a little faster, which is nice. But no, I didn't. And what was really interesting to me is that I lost the race in a very similar way earlier in the season. I lost the AK doing pretty much the exact same thing. And so that's just one of those things where it's really about that belief that we talked about earlier, where, I could have not made that move. I could have been a bit more reserved, just, not trusting myself, but, it felt like I could pull it off. And, that's always been one of my main flaws, I think, in cross country is overestimating myself. But, it finally hit, I finally accurately was able to read, how much energy I had left. And so that was just a really rewarding home stretch for me because, it validated something that I've been trying to do for so long.
Yeah, no, that sounds good. Well, I don't have any more like questions for you guys. Just overall, it seems like you guys, not only are you fast and also team oriented, but you're pretty wise as well in terms of running. Like you can tell you've been around the sport for a while. You can like, even Cole was saying, he's like, I just like having the solitude balance and also being with the team and just like being introspective and thinking about how to get better. So that's for people out there, especially if you're coming up and you're like a middle school or high school and everything. Those are some people to look up to. You can follow them on Instagram, Charles Hicks and Cole Sprout. But in pleasure sponsoring you throughout the season for NIL. Glad that we're able to do that. And just overall, just really happy with your performances and looking forward to track season.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man.
Thank you so much for having us.